Tonight, Deputy Speaker of Parliament incurs the wrath of campaigners against controversial new parliamentary chamber as he describes social media commentary on the matter as sickening.
Everybody takes it somewhere and blah, blah, blah. And the things I'm seeing on social media are sickening.
But the campaigners are fighting back, insisting the legislators lack understanding of the real issues.
It's our duty to educate the public on these matters, because what is happening is now they are eroding the pillar of democracy in the country, which is Parliament. And so we should be careful and cautious about how we talk about members of Parliament and Parliament as an institution.
Well, that is the second Speaker of Parliament as well, Deputy, who's also been warning you about unfavorable commentary about Parliament in the midst of this controversy. You want to stay with us for all the latest on this as it unfolds, both in Parliament and on social media.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, also brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, as well as Nationwide Health Insurance, your healthcare family. Now, there is more controversy tonight about the proposed $200 million new chamber for members of Parliament in the face of growing public opposition. Two deputy speakers of Parliament have today incurred the full wrath of campaigners to oppose the deal. The campaigners have taken their crusade to social media, whipping up support against the proposed new chamber under the hashtag Drop That Chamber. Well, when the matter came up on the floor today, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Sowusu, described the social media campaign and commentary on the matter as sickening. Now listen to him as he stepped in to stop the ranking member on the Works and Housing Committee, Kwame Agboja, who attempted to discuss the new parliamentary chamber controversy on the floor.
The leadership are not here. I think a statement should be made on the discussion that is being made outside on a new chamber when no such thing is before us, and the way members are behaving, responding left and right. I think we should discuss this on the floor. And I'll direct that the leadership make a statement on what they do at the public, Parliamentary Service Board, which have not been publicized, and yet members are commenting as if they know the facts. I think we should discuss them here so that the true facts. Without it now, everybody picks it somewhere and blah, blah, blah. And the things I'm seeing on social media are sickening.
Well, you had there the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament on the matter today on the floor. Mr. Agboja somehow went ahead to still comment on the matter and attracted some strong criticism from his MPP majority colleagues who thought his attempt to discuss the matter when it was not officially before the House amounted to a deliberate attempt to undermine Parliament. Listen to his exchange between himself and MP for Futu Alexa after remarking.
Mr. Speaker, I have no intention of making any further comment, but just to draw attention to the fact that there were news items carried by Joy Online and others which suggested that Parliament has outdoors a plan to build Parliament. So it is no longer a secret. It may not have come to the floor, but leadership, or at least majority leader, is on record to have spoken about the issue, and for that matter, it will be difficult for the rest of us when we go on platforms to avoid commitment.
Mr. Speaker, we must all respect the rules. Yes. It is unfair. Honorable Kwame Agboja is not a first time. He is not. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Bagby ruled on this matter when my respected colleague Johnson Dafiamako took his turn to comment on the matter. To find a way to reintroduce this is an attempt to undermine the leadership of this house to undermine the Parliament of Ghana? Why? This matter was ruled upon. You took advantage because Mr. Speaker has left the chamber, then you want to bring that.
All right, your point is
Mr. Speaker, you should apologize.
Well, I want to bring in my parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, who's been following this for us from the floor today. Joseph, we have heard the first Deputy Speaker's intervention. Understand that the second Deputy Speaker had earlier also delivered a ruling on this same matter. Tell us more.
Exactly. So there was the point when those presiding over the sitting changed. And before that, again in the conversation having to do with Ghana's relations with Canada, there was an attempt by the minority MPs to throw in the conversation around the new parliamentary chamber. And then Alban Bagbin, the second deputy speaker, stopped the conversation and again directed, even before Seosu's directive, that leadership should present a full statement on the issue to the House.
And here's the thing, though. He goes ahead to issue a warning to those who are campaigning and making passing commentary on this on social media, and how he believes the commentary as it's ongoing right now and is unfolding on social media, a bit of it may be uninformed and may erode the respect for Parliament. And he asks that you out there be careful. Listen to.
Even the earlier issue about the pages of the furniture, particularly the seats for this chamber, was not a decision by members of Parliament. It was not a decision of the House. And so the public, please move away from, trying to put that blame on members, castigating members and all those things, as if the furniture they are using in their various workplaces are furniture that are ordered and paid for by they themselves. It's not the duty of members of Parliament to do that. Please, let's move on and then focus on our statement. It's our duty to educate the public on these matters. Because what is happening is now they are eroding the pillar of democracy in the country, which is Parliament. That's the pillar of democracy in this country, not only in Ghana, but all over the world. And so we should be careful and cautious about how we talk about members of Parliament and Parliament as an institution.
So you had the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Abambabeng, also. And so we've had two of the deputies. One believes that the commentary on this on social media is sickening. The second believes the commentary that has unfolded needs to be informed because it will erode a major pillar in our democracy. But as you can also sort of guess by now, the members of Parliament, regardless of what you're hearing from the deputy speakers and their leadership, are regardless opposed to this. And Joseph, this has been playing out also in Parliament already.
So you recall that when the announcement was made, the speaker was flanked by both the majority leader and the minority leader, who both endorsed the project, Osei Mensa Buntu and also Haruna Idrisu. Now it's emerging that there wasn't a consultation with the general membership of Parliament before we saw all of those endorsements and all those plans being rolled out. So we've heard from a lot of the minority MPs repeatedly voicing their objection. Ras Mubarak, we heard Kwame Agboja earlier, and a number of others, Hassan Suhini, insisting they think this is not a priority. Earlier today, there was a meeting of the majority caucus, led by Osei Mensa Buntu himself, essentially to brief the minority MPs on the progress of work and what this plan is all about. And now, they confirm that they are hearing about it. They actually heard about it for the first time in the media. And now what we're seeing is, even on the majority side, a lot of the MPs are kicking against this plan as was rolled out by both the majority and the minority leader. We can listen to the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma, who is the MP for Ofuasia Yerebi, and the Deputy Agriculture Minister, Kennedy Osenyako.
Yeah, I'm not speaking as part of executive. I'm speaking as a member of Parliament. Okay? I believe, Parliament may have every reason to have that facility, but the timing is very wrong. Not at this very time that we need 450 seating capacity. How many are we? we may make the argument that, we are creating spaces. What it means is that if you have a bigger chamber, that is where, but currently, as where we stand now, as an institution, as a parliament, that shouldn't be the priority. It is.
I mean, it came to me as a surprise when I heard it in the news that Parliament was constructing or was supposedly going to construct a new chamber. So this morning, for example, we had a caucus meeting, inquiring that what is this idea about, and we are being told that the Parliamentary Service Board is mooting an idea that a new chamber be constructed. How much it costs, who is constructing, what is the need for this chamber, all of that has not even been, and I'm sure you've spoken to members of Parliament. Members of Parliament have not been engaged on this matter even. The Parliamentary Service Board is the one that we are told has mooted this idea. It doesn't appear to be a popular idea even among members of Parliament. I must be honest with you. It doesn't appear to be a popular idea even among members of Parliament. So again, if indeed that engagement takes place, I'm very sure that there will be a lot of members who will speak against it, that it is not a priority at this point in time.
Honorable, as the official spokesperson of government, is the government aware of this initiative?
Which initiative are you talking about?
The construction of the new chamber.
Well, there are three arms of government that are separate. If the Parliamentary Service Board is considering something, they would need to go through their processes, come to a certain decision, and if they are required to inform any other arm of government, they would so do. From the executive perspective, I am not aware that even the executive has been engaged on this kind of idea. Even within Parliament itself, the Parliamentary Service Board, I think is yet to even engage members of Parliament. I understand it's only the leadership that they have spoken to, and then they proceeded to look at some diagrams or something. But even within Parliament, as you are aware, that consultation, I don't think, has even been extensive or broad. But like you hear MPs talk about, it is not a popular something even for MPs. So I'm sure even at that point, you hear what MPs will have to say about it.
So that is the information minister. And there's something he says that we need to interrogate a bit. And Joseph is here with me. Joseph, the information minister says that this is not a decision by the executive, that he's not aware that the executive is engaged at any level as far as this matter of constructing or building a new chamber is concerned. The speaker himself had made some pronouncements in the past that seem to suggest that the executive may be in on this.
So on Friday, when the speaker threw out the details on the project, he made the point that the president has in principle agreed to come to Parliament to inaugurate this particular construction project and to open it up for the work to begin, essentially making the point that the presidency is aware of the plans to do this, and the president had actually agreed that he will come and cut the sword for the project. And that day, he even made the point that initially the conversation was around having the sword cut that Friday, but then it's been pushed to a different date. And on the Friday, then the idea was to let the public know what exactly it's all about. So from the speaker's perspective, the presidency is aware, and he was ready to even come do the sword cutting for that.
Also, we did some digging, and there is the first mention, publicly at least, of a desire to get Parliament a new chamber, in fact, was made by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in 2017. And in fact, it is a publication on done by the Information Services Department. It's a department under the Information Ministry, where Kojo Ponkrumah is Information Minister. And it is actually still on the government official website. It's the government of Ghana, ghana.gov, .gh, which says, and it came with the headline, "Government will consider a new chamber for Parliament, VEEP." This is the Information Services Department. This is way back in February 2017. The first time, at least I heard any suggestion that there's going to be a new chamber. I want to read the story that the Information Services Department had published back then 2 years ago. It said, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has said government will consider constructing a new chamber for the legislative arm of government. According to him, the work of Parliament must not be interrupted, considering the critical role it plays in the governance of this country. Dr. Bawumia said this on Wednesday when he paid an unannounced visit to Parliament to assess the extent of damage to the building following Tuesday evening's heavy rain. Quote, Parliament, the legislative arm of government, is key for this whole country, and it is very important that the activities of Parliament are not interrupted. Dr. Bawumia promised to brief President Akufo-Addo about the unfortunate incident when he returns from the AU summit in order to provide a lasting solution. Then the story goes on. The Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quaye, who welcomed the Vice President, briefed him about the incident and stressed the need for a new chamber. Right? Quote, "We are told that all relevant persons are in the process of restoring the damage, but this is evidence of the fact that we need a new chamber, and we trust that the appropriate time we shall have the ears of the executive." And the president assures him that they will consider it, the president will be briefed when he returns. And so this was in 2017 where both men were at this event. You remember that rainstorm back then. The key question to ask is, did the vice president brief the president in 2017 as he had promised he will at that event about the need and the request to have a new parliamentary chamber? I mean, fast forward 2 years on, we know it's crystallized that this is actually going to happen.
Now the explanation that's coming is that there's a decision that was taken by the Parliamentary Service Board, and in Parliament's budget for this year, they included a request for it, for which some allocation was made. Our checks indicate some 72 million Ghana cedis for capital expenditure. And it came from the PSB, which eventually the executive approved because they eventually brought Parliament's whole budget to Parliament for approval. So now it's all been laid at the doorstep of the Parliamentary Service Board.
And I asked this question
the
of
executive is actually
by the way,
thrown in.
the majority leader is going to be on PM Express tonight. I asked him a question about the same thing, about where this originated from. He says, yes, Bawumia may have made the probably pronouncements about considering it and briefing the president about it, but it is still an initiative of Parliament, and that the Parliamentary Service Board had made the request of the executive, and the executive had considered favorably. Remember that the speaker also at that event said that there's a government budget allocation ready for this, that Parliament is now looking for additional funding. Yeah. Chairman Sambungs, if you listen to PMS tonight, will confirm that indeed they've already made representations to the Chinese government, which is already considering giving us $40 million as part of the contribution, in addition to what government has already hived off for this particular project. So there's a lot happening on this that will unfold on PMS if you join us. I want to bring in, this matter is already playing out on social media, and the campaigners are on. We can speak to Rashida Adams, who is on the line with us. Hello, Rashida. I think we've lost her. But listen to Chairman Sambungs speaking to me for PM Express, which is going to be aired at 9 p.m., justifying the need for this new chamber. And he suggests that there is a security reason why the new chamber is necessary.
The people who come to Parliament, the press people, they are on top of the Speaker. The Speaker is unprotected, right? Anybody could come, jump over, pour some acid on the Speaker, or use any offensive weapon on the Speaker. And you know what could happen to this country? And then we will begin to say that, oh, what is it that we have done to ourselves?
In a country where pregnant women are so dying because of issues with roads, poor roads, for example, travel in your constituency, I'm sure it's something that you're very keen and well known, you've known and deal with on a daily basis. How can anybody who leads the people or represents them argue that we should spend, as it has been estimated, $200 million
First of all,
for a new building?
Let me correct you. The cost of it is, as we speak now, not known.
So
it was the Speaker, because we haven't finished.
The Speaker suggested it, threw this figure out there.
No, the figures, after they had shown us the replica and indeed what the end product is supposed to be, we all exclaimed that this is wonderful. The Speaker then said, in spite of this, don't come and quote any figure beyond $200 million to us.
So we are willing to, if it's $200 million.
No, it was something that he said just off the cuff, because we don't know as of yet. Right?
But he's a speaker, so we take what he says seriously.
No, my own thinking is that we should be able to do this maybe in the region of about 150 million.
But that is too much.
The cost
for the people.
The cost.
Who you say, fix my road first.
The cost of refurbishing this structure was about $110 million. the Justice Center complex.
Which came
because
with its own protest.
No, because who protested? Because people didn't even know. It was after we finished. It was I who even brought this up. Now we want to be accountable to the people. We want to be transparent to the people that this is what may happen. And there is brouhaha. But I'm saying to us that we haven't finished. But I appreciate the point that you have made.
Yeah. Which is that if it's 150 million as you have proposed in
yes,
cost,
I'm saying that.
Is it justifiable knowing what you know in your constituency, where people still in Ghana today die because of poor roads and lack of hospital infrastructure?
I appreciate it. And we should all be concerned. And we should up our level of performance as a country, as a government, and as a people. We should up our level of performance to ensure that these things are put behind us. But let's face it, when we did this at the cost of 110 million, had we dealt with all these problems that we are enumerating? We did it. When we built all the stadia, the 4 stadia that we did to host CAN 2008, had we solved all these problems?
Maybe we should have.
When we built the National Theatre, have we finished or have we dealt with all these problems?
Well, one of the campaigners, and if you see the hashtag that is trending, that's Drop That Chamber, Rashida Adams, they're planning to hit the streets on the 13th. Joyce is on the telephone line. Thank you, Rashida, for your time here on Top Story. Okay, we lost there again on this. We'll try and bring it in on this. And another thing that we're learning also tonight, which again we'll hear the full details of on PM Express, is that the Chinese are already considering, based on our own request to them, to help finance this project with possibly $40 million that might go into this. You heard Chairman Sabungsu also clarifying that as far as his own estimation is concerned, the project will not be 200 million, but maximum of 150 million. He puts it at.
A number of other questions are coming up. For example, the minority MPs are drawing attention to what they say has been a breach of the Procurement Act in even how Sir David Ajayi was brought in as the person to take over with the design and the construction. And according to them, their representatives on the tender committee in Parliament have actually indicated that they are not aware of any such thing coming to the tender committee for the necessary approval at the level of the tender committee, even for them to go ahead, virtually disputing the point by the Speaker that 3 different companies put in the bid, a point that the majority leader repeated in that interview with you, that 3 different companies put in the bid and Sir David Ajayi was consulted. They are indicating that as far as they are concerned, the tender committee of Parliament hasn't given any such possible approval in order to allow for this to unfold. But tomorrow, Parliament has actually given that indication that tomorrow morning, the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, the minority leader, Harun Idrisu, will again be addressing a joint media briefing as part of efforts to, what they say, set the record straight and put out the necessary details in the light of what is looking like an uprising by the rank and file against their own push and support for this particular
not only
project.
the minority MPs who are against this, we've had majority MPs, and that's Kojo himself had said, upon Nkrumah, who's information minister, had said, this is not something that, some MPs are, including the MPs from the majority who say they don't think it's the right time.
And they told the majority leader that in his face.
In that caucus meeting
this morning. And so, as to whether there'll be a backtrack or otherwise, that's the major press conference.
You really don't want to miss PMS tonight, because I asked him that question. So, in the face of the opposition, will Parliament drop this? His answer was fascinating. You want to stay for that this is on Joy News, Joy News on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. It's at 9 p.m. tonight. This has been Top Story, always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success is a passion, brought to you by Gas and Cement, the nation's builder, Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready, and nationwide medical health insurance, your healthcare family.